Welcome to this explainer. Financial compliance rules can be, well, pretty dry and complicated. But today, we're going to take those rules and turn them into a recipe for absolute success. To do that, we're using an analogy we can all instantly wrap our heads around: a busy, fast-paced restaurant kitchen. By the time we wrap up here, the FAS Act supervision guidelines are going to make just as much sense as cooking up your favorite meal. Think about it for a second. Would a restaurant let you cook for hundreds of paying customers on your very first day without ever checking your work? No way! If you're fresh out of culinary school, an experienced head chef is going to train you, and they're going to meticulously check your dishes before they ever leave the kitchen. Well, the financial world works exactly the same way. If a new financial representative is still missing their RE5 exam, lacks a recognized qualification, or honestly just doesn't have enough work experience, they absolutely need expert guidance before they start serving clients. So here's our menu for today's explainer. First, welcome to the kitchen. Then we'll introduce the three key players. Next, we're covering restaurant management duties, followed by chef and trainee duties. After that, it's a race against the training clock. And finally, we'll bring it all together in graduating to master chef. Let's dive right in. Section 1. Welcome to the kitchen and why supervision actually exists. Let's kick things off by looking at why this whole framework is even a thing. You might be wondering, why not just make people wait years to get fully qualified before letting them work? Well, the law is actually super practical here. Instead of sitting around waiting for years, you can start working right away. But an experienced person has to supervise you. In a kitchen, a new chef helps prep the meals, but the head chef checks everything before it goes out to the diner. Under the FAS Act, it is the exact same dynamic. A new financial advisor can work, but a fully qualified, experienced advisor has to guide them. They check the financial advice before it ever reaches the client. It's really all about protecting the client while allowing for practical, on-the-job learning. Section 2. The three key players. Let's cast our restaurant. Every great kitchen needs a solid team, right? Well, the FAS Act requires a very specific cast of characters to make supervision legal. The first two players are pretty obvious. You've got the supervisor, our head chef with all the experience, qualifications, and that all-important RE5. And then you've got the supervisee, our brand new trainee chef. But the third player? It's actually not a person at all. It's a document. The supervision agreement is the absolute foundation of this whole process. It's a written plan that spells out exactly who the supervisor is, what the supervisee is actually allowed to do, the specific training they're going to get, and how the monitoring is going to happen. Think of it like handing a new chef their weekly training plan. Week 1 is food safety, week 2 is starters, and so on. Section 3. Restaurant Management Duties. The responsibilities of the FSP. Okay, let's step out of the kitchen for just a second and into the back office. In the financial world, the restaurant management is the FSP, the financial services provider. They're the company making sure this entire system actually functions, and they carry a massive amount of accountability. They've got 5 main duties. First, they have to choose a qualified, experienced supervisor. I mean, you wouldn't ask a trainee to train another trainee, right? Second, they always need to know exactly who is learning versus who is fully qualified. Third, they have to ensure actual teamwork is happening. A supervisor can't just vanish for 3 months and claim they're supervising. Fourth, and listen up because this is a strict deadline. When supervision ends, HR has exactly 15 days to update the competence register. Just 15 days. And finally, they have to protect customers from risk. That means they don't let trainees fly solo on super complex tasks where a mistake could seriously hurt the client. Section 4. Chef and trainee duties. Action on the line. Let's step back into the heat of the kitchen and see what our supervisor and new rep are actually doing day-to-day while they're on the clock. First up, the supervisor. They have to actively observe the work, really watching how the supervisee performs, and this is crucial. They have to approve the work before the client receives it. Just like a head chef tasting a sauce before it goes to a table, the supervisor has to check the advice. They also need to review records to make sure procedures were followed, coach and mentor the trainee on how they can improve, and carefully keep evidence that all this supervision actually took place. But hey, the trainee has responsibilities too. They have to stick to the limits of their training agreement. If you're supposed to be making desserts, don't just start cooking main courses without asking. They need to ask questions if they're unsure about anything, and willingly hand their records over to the supervisor for review. Now, the absolute most critical point for the trainee here is disclosure. Clients literally have to be told that they're being assisted by someone who is still learning under an expert's watch. It's so important because it reassures the client that the quality of the advice is being double-checked, protecting them just like you'd protect a diner. Section 5, the training clock. Beating the timers. So all this on-the-job training is fantastic, but a representative can't just stay an apprentice forever. The FISE Act sets some very strict time limits, and they all hinge on a little acronym called DOFA, the date of first appointment. Think of DOFA as literally your very first day on the job. The clock starts ticking. Within 12 months from your DOFA, you've got to complete your COB training. That's like a new chef finally learning the restaurant's entire menu. Then, within 2 years from DOFA, you have to pass the RE5 exam. That's the equivalent of passing your mandatory chef assessments. And finally, within 6 years from DOFA, you must complete your recognized qualification, which is exactly like getting your full professional culinary certification. Now, that 6-year mark from DOFA, that is a hard line. The absolute maximum period a representative can remain under supervision is exactly 6 years from their date of first appointment. You have to beat these timers, get fully qualified, and eventually step up to do the work completely independently. Now, it's worth noting that throughout those 6 years, the type of supervision actually changes. So how does the FSP decide if a trainee needs someone literally hovering over their shoulder, which we call direct supervision, or if they just need periodic check-ins, known as ongoing supervision? Well, they look at 3 things. Step 1, difficulty. Making toast is a lot easier than a 5-course meal, right? Simple financial products just need less supervision than complex ones. Step 2, experience. A chef on day 1 needs way more help than a chef in year 3. And step 3, risk. Prepping a simple side salad is extremely low risk, but cooking a meal for someone with severe allergies, that requires strict oversight. In the financial world, high risk to the client equals much closer supervision. Finally, Section 6, graduating to Master Chef. Let's bring it all together. To really make sure all these rules stick in our heads, let's look at how this flows in the real world. Meet Thabo. Thabo is starting his first day as our new representative, our new chef. This very day establishes his DOFA, so his clock has officially started ticking. The FSP, being responsible management, assigns an experienced, fully qualified supervisor to him, Chef Maria. Immediately, before anything else happens, they sit down and sign a detailed supervision agreement, mapping out exactly what Thabo is going to learn and exactly what his limits are. At the very beginning, they're in the direct supervision phase. Chef Maria is actively observing Thabo, checking every single meal or, financial plan before it goes out to the customers. Thabo is doing his part too. He's asking questions when he's unsure, and he is strictly following the recipe of his training agreement to make absolutely sure the clients are protected at all times. Over time, as Thabo really starts to gain some experience, the difficulty of his tasks might go up, but so does his confidence. Because of this, Chef Aurea shifts from direct supervision to ongoing supervision. She's checking in less frequently, but she's still keeping a close eye on the outcomes. Meanwhile, Thabo diligently studies, he passes his RE5 within his 2-year timer, and he completes his full qualifications within the 6-year maximum limit. He beats his deadlines and officially graduates to Master Chef. He doesn't need supervision anymore. And honestly, that is exactly how supervision works under the FASE Act. Instead of preparing meals, we're providing financial services. And instead of protecting diners from bad food, we're protecting financial clients from bad advice. You now have the complete recipe for compliance laid out right in front of you. The only question left is, are you ready to step into the kitchen? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.